In today's session, I am going to quickly go through the UPSC pattern, the exam, and I will also tell you briefly about how we in this course are going to approach for the prelims as well as for the mains exam. Stage 2 is mains exam. So depending on how many vacancies are there, say if there are 1000 vacancies in a particular year, so you will UPSC usually shortlist about 12,000 to 13,000 students to write the mains. Okay. Now mains is a very holistic exam. It takes about a week to take all the papers in the mains. I'll quickly go through the basic pattern. There are about 7 papers excluding the interview and the qualifying exam. So you will have to take one paper which will test your basic English that you shall be able to easily clear. It is not a very difficult exam. Then there is going to be one paper in which you will have to select one of the Indian languages and you have to write again the basics about that Indian language. The marks that you get in these two papers, the qualifying English and the qualifying Indian language, do not get counted in your overall marks. The marks for your prelims do not get carried forward either. Okay, many students who have just started preparation, they also ask this question. The marks for the prelims do not get carried forward. That's it. Prelims job is done. Okay. Now, even in the mains, these are just the qualifying papers. But keep one thing in mind. I think at the checking process, these papers are marked in the beginning, because if you do not qualify, if you do not clear your these papers, eventually after the cycle, you do not even get to know your marks in these papers. In other words, UPSC doesn't even check your other exams unless you have cleared the qualifying paper. First paper is going to be the essay type paper, where you will have to write 2 essays. We'll shortly talk about them. Then paper 2 is going to be General Studies 1. So it's paper 2 otherwise, but we call it GS1. In everyday language, we call it GS1, in which you will have to do culture, Indian history, Indian society, social issues, and geography of the world and the basic society. Paper 3, which is GS2. So let's forget about paper 1, 2, 3, 4, because everybody that you will encounter in your UPSC preparation will say GS2 or GS3 or GS1. Okay. So GS1 is about history, geography and society. GS2 is about polity, governance and international relations. This paper will be covered with me essentially. And then GS3 will have economics, IR and security issues. Some people for some reason call disaster management as an independent module as well, but like you can cover that in 2 to 3 classes. So let's call it a part of security and disaster management module only. So you will have science and tech, economics and environment and security and disaster management. That is going to be paper 3. Now GS3, and the last but not the least, very very important, is GS4, which will have questions on ethics, morality, aptitude, attitude, lessons that we have learned from the lives of great philosophers, thinkers and so on. In this paper, we will shortly see that you will get questions which are based on your general understanding as well as case studies. You will be presented a particular situation and then you will have to answer certain questions based on that situation. Then for your mains, you select one optional that you select right at the beginning of your preparation. I know so many students who fill their application form for UPSC with a particular optional that they have zero idea about, and then after taking the prelims, they call people for the coaching. Okay, so I have filled the form with anthropology optional, what should I do? And then the teacher asks them, what have you done so far? Nothing. What do you know about anthropology right now? Nothing. I have filled a paper with PSIR optional, political science and IR. What should I do now? Okay, so then teacher feels helpless and they tell you that the only thing you should have done was called somebody 6 months before that. So whenever you are starting your UPSC preparation, either you should know about your option or you should start working on the search process so that you finalize in say a month or 40 days. Okay, you sooner you finalize it, better it would be. Now for optional, again you have two exams, paper 1 and paper 2. All right, so this is again very very important paper. Again, all of these papers, they are subjective in nature. Prelims was objective in nature. You just had to mark one right option out of 4 options presented to you. Here you will have to write your answers. So let's quickly take a look at the basic syllabus for the mains. Now moving on to the syllabus. First is qualifying exam. So 2 qualifying language exams you have, English as well as Indian language. Both exams are very easy. The level is up to say matriculation level, 10th level. Anybody with reasonable amount of vocabulary and comprehension skills end up writing good exams. Okay, you just have to clear these exams. Now the first important exam is your essay. Okay, that is known as paper 1. There is this pattern that UPSC has been following. They ask you one essay on some matter of fact, for example say GST, okay, or say non-aligned movement, or India's border issues with the neighbors, or something of this sort. Such essays which have very real life touch to them, okay, such topics. On the other hand, UPSC also asks you one metaphysical, philosophical essay. Okay, they try to see how well you write about metaphysical ideas. Say, for example, happiness is best when shared. Okay, they will give you a topic like this. Or say they can present you something like everyone is important yet not. Something of this sort. Okay, so I think therefore I am. They will give you a very metaphysical, philosophical topic, and you will have to write 2 essays. One on a real life issue. Usually essay on these issues, this one gets covered when you prepare for your GS, because in UPSC you prepare all the issues in such multidimensional way that as long as you have a good writing style, you end up writing good essay for this part. For this one, you have to work on your expression. You should be able to think coherently, and then you should be able to jot down your points in a very logical manner. Your essay should meander in a way that examiner cannot take his eyes off your expression, and then your one line should logically lead to next one and next one and next one, and there should be a beautiful harmony between your ideas and your word selection. So we will also work on this part. Okay, so that will complete your paper 1, which is essay. Now GS1. Now comes the GS part. For GS1, all the syllabus is provided in the document that we are giving you along with this video in the download button, as well as in the pinned comment section. But broadly speaking, for paper GS1, you have history. In history you will cover Indian history, say art and culture, modern history, and world history. There is one more part which is known as India since independence, wherein we cover all the developments that have taken place in India since 1947. Okay, usually till 1992, because most of the issues that have occurred after 1992, they get covered in your usual polity or economy or here and there. Okay, so these are the history related topics that we will cover. Then second is social issues, role of women, population and associated problems, poverty, problems related to urbanization, and so on. Okay, again very very important and very interesting topic. Next is geography. In social issues, you will cover so many topics which will help you in your essay writing. For example, social empowerment, regionalism, communalism, secularism, and then so on. Then comes the geography part. So first part is history, second is society, and the third part is geography. For geography, we would recommend that you stick to our notes. They are being made in a very holistic manner, but make sure that whatever we cover, not only you read that once, but you read it so repeatedly that you don't forget that you don't forget whatever you have covered. In fact, that is true for the entire UPSC. A serious candidate does not fail because the questions in the exams were unheard of. A serious candidate fails because do not recall. Candidate fails to recall the right answers. Okay, so keep that thing in mind. Now, paper 3, which is GS2. Most students make one mistake, that they feel that Lakshmikant as a book is sufficient for this paper. It is not. It was not written keeping this exam in mind, nor does it claim to. Okay, that book is sufficient for you only for the prelims. It makes the very technically written legal document, which can be interpreted by lawyers only, called the Constitution of India. It makes it very regular. It simplifies it. So for that, it has great importance, the book. But as far as your GS2 is concerned, you must read Yojana. Okay, a couple of questions. You will be able to write better answer. There is this magazine called Yojana, and when I say you must read it, I mean you read it. Not like somebody covering it for you and you watching the video for 5 minutes and hoping that, okay, now I understand Yojana, I have covered this month's Yojana. That's not how it works. That's not how you prepare for your UPSC exam. You read. You may skip a certain articles, that is fine. But how can you completely outsource your preparation to somebody covering things on YouTube, including us? We will also make videos on this. But you will have to read on your own as well. And then wherever you find difficulty, our videos will be there to help you. Our videos will help you to kind of internalize the facts and the issues. These guided videos, they should help you to kind of structuralize the whole Yojana or kind of structuralize the whole book. But you cannot just outsource your preparation in this way. You will have to read at least 2 to 3 articles every month from this magazine. Also, newspaper. Newspapers are very, very important for this. Now, after that, you will have this new issue called governance. Next is IR. For IR, again, the classes that we take on every Wednesday, plus whatever we will cover here in the module, plus the world page in the newspaper section, more than sufficient. Okay, UPSC may ask you a question which is not covered in our classes, which is not covered in newspapers, which is not covered in our weekly IR related classes. But if you don't know the answer to that question, most serious students wouldn't. So be confident in what you are doing. And if we do not infuse enough confidence in you, then go to, you must be, I don't mean to say go to that person. What I mean to say is that make sure that you're preparing with someone who inspires you enough, that you have confidence in your preparation. If you are not having confidence in your preparation, if you are associated with an institute or a channel and you're not confident enough, then choose one that you are confident with. All right. Next is paper 4. Paper 4, GS3 for economy. There is this book by Madhur Mahajan sir. He has recently written a book on basic economics. It is published by Pearson Publication. So I personally, you might not have even heard of this book. I personally like this book over Ramesh Singh, over Sanjeev Verma, over this book, over that book. I really like this book. It, especially for those who are not from economics background, it does not take you to the best possible details. It tells you sufficient to have wholesome understanding, number one. Second thing is you can start with basic, +1 and +2 NCERTs. These books are more than sufficient for yourself to start with, and then Raghav sir will make sure that nothing shows up in the exam that you've not heard of or you've not covered in the class. Then comes security issue that Mehta sir will take, and science and tech that will be covered by Sanyogita madam. For this, on your own, there is this video that comes on Rajya Sabha TV known as Science Reporter. You should watch this video every week. We also cover important developments that are covered by Rajya Sabha in our weekly science and tech classes, which take place on every Tuesday. But we will also recommend that you cover that as well. Okay. Now, next is your paper 4, that is ethics, integrity and aptitude. I am assuming that you already are ethical enough and you have sufficiently high aptitude and and a very balanced attitude. Now, for this exam, usually people have made the preparation very mechanical. That okay, these are my ethics notes, this is the book that I'm studying for ethics, and now I know ethics. We feel here at CPL that you prepare for this exam throughout your preparation without dedicatedly sitting and preparing. You will do that as well. There is going to be a proper ethics module which will be taught to you through over the course of 25 classes. We will take 25 classes for this exam, this particular exam paper. We will cover more than 100 case studies. But overall, it's not like somebody comes in front of you, takes 25 classes and covers 100 case studies with you and that's it. Now you are able to write ethics exam. This is something that you prepare throughout your preparation by just thinking more. Whatever you read, contemplate on that. If you read about, say, if on one of the in one of the current affairs classes we are talking about Karl Marx, if we are talking about Gandhi, if we are talking about Rousseau, if we are talking about, say, Friedrich Nietzsche or anybody for that matter, whenever we mention any thinker, you must find out more about that thinker. You must contemplate on their ideas. Similarly, when I will teach you polity, when we'll talk about liberty, freedom, how is liberty different from freedom, equality, fraternity, secularism, this, that, you should be able to contemplate on those ideas. If you do that, then you will automatically, structurally better placed to write the ethics paper compared to someone who has just attended 20 classes and who has studied ethics in a very passive manner. Okay. There was this girl again from Chandigarh. She got rank 2 few years ago, All India rank 2, and then somebody asked her what she did for ethics, and she said that she didn't do anything for ethics because she didn't even know what to read for ethics, so she didn't really care. Again, because I happen to know someone who is very close to her, so I can tell you that she was telling the truth. But again, half truth. She did not. Probably because, in a particular setting, you just reply with a one-line answer. She did not tell people that she had been following this approach for ethics, which was that whenever she would study anything, whenever she would read anything, she would give herself 2 minutes to think that what if this situation shows up in GS4? What if this situation shows up in one of the case studies in GS4? So this is what you have to do for yourself as well. Plus we will otherwise all the basic terminology, everything that can be possibly asked in the GS4 in this GS4 shall be covered with you in the greatest detail. So this is how you prepare for your paper as far as your common GS part is concerned.